I've talked to many a mayor in Pennsylvania, and a common theme is their city. Gotham City has good jobs. There's plenty of good jobs in my city. The people that have them don't live in my city. And I have to support their ability to commute, their safety while they're here. Oftentimes they spend a third of their life in my city. They have to provide services. Our taxing structure doesn't allow us to easily share our tax base with their hometown so that the citizen has the same level of services door to store to work to back to door. And that's a problem.
And what I would do if I was the mayor is I would move all right out of the city of Johnstown, because there is no forward. Year after year after year, it goes further down and further down. That's the way it's been, and that's the way it's always going to be until somebody steps in with some kind of power to do something.
When you look at the makeup of the vision board, almost every single member lives outside the area. So when you have a group of individuals that are not from Johnstown, who are traveling outside the area, coming in, using their connections to influence what's going on in the city, to make money off it and then take that money from the city back to where they go, you create a weird loop of interdependence that actually hurts the city of Johnstown.
Most people that are involved in this, and not just their board, but all the boards, are primarily from the more affluent areas of the area. And I'm sure there's a few here and there that do live in the city, but that's kind of how it always goes.
I don't think a lot of people work, live, play, go to the doctor right in their own little community unless you're in, say, a bigger city maybe. If those places are not healthy and they can't provide the services that are necessary, you're still going to feel some of those impacts of the distress.
Bill's beautiful house, and it's gated and marble walls and guard dogs and a sniper on the roof. So we go by we're driving by the big gates, and my 11-year-old goes, "Who lives there?" I said, "Oh, that's a friend of Daddy's. It's Bill Blanche lives there." And before the words entirely out of my mouth, the 10-year-old Joe says, "Why'd they lock him in there?" I told him, once you meet him, you'll know.
Initially, when we did the investigation into the school district, they learned how to have secret meetings they were having at the Union Social. And Vision learned from that model, and now they're doing it. They were at the Holiday Inn for a long time. I used to call in and listen to the meetings. All of our government leaders would call in, give their reports that you'd never give to the public. Who do you vote for? Who do you do this? How do you do that? And it's all about promoting themselves and protecting their own people.
I think Vision started out with a good idea, but even in the beginning, I was doing a lot of volunteer work with the city. I was on council and I was doing shade tree and I was doing plantings and organizing a lot of that.
Being a tree city, we must plan and celebrate this day. We have partnered this year with the Flood City Cafe. They've came to us with plans of cleaning up Clinton Street. They have some.
Even back then, there was always we would do it as a group as the shade tree, and then they'd say, "Hey, can we put our emblem on here?" They would put their marker on it and it would be Vision, and then in the newspaper it was Johnstown Vision 2025's green team did a tree planting. It's not supposed to bother you, and you kind of don't really care because you're not really doing it for the name recognition. As you look back upon it and you go, oh, they were doing that back then. Their job was to undercut everybody, take over. They put their label on it, they go around and hand out the t-shirts with Vision, even if it's someone else's project.
The board members, I don't believe, are paid, but I believe they're getting their compensation through the connections. I have someone in Vision who has been very, very generous with me. If I would not have had their help and support, we wouldn't be having this conversation today. They have about a $500,000 a year budget that pays for their leadership positions. They rent an office building downtown in the JRA building, and every once in a while they give bikes and toys and that around the projects for goodwill. $500,000 a year.
It's like if you read the stories about Rockefeller had the bad image, and then he got a PR publicist, and then he was going around giving money to little kids or food and stuff. They were building them up. I think it's the same idea where they got a bunch of these bad people that are doing things that, people don't really like. And then they go, hey, you know what? But if we do this, a little bit of good PR, we can still be, crooked. That's the game. And it works, and it's been proven to work. So that's why they're doing it.
So an organization that has a $500,000 yearly budget is controlling all these different projects. And remember, if you look at the media content, Vision takes credit for it. When Biden came here a couple years ago, Vision was there. They were shaking everybody's hands. They regularly are sending letters to all of our senators, all of our representatives, trying to curry favor, do this, do that.
Being in a fortunate situation, I should say, we have both of our state senators attending and expecting our congressman to be joining us also. This gives the city, myself, and everyone an opportunity to really get that funding out there that we really need for the city. So having a chance to rub elbows with them or sit down and talk with them and show them what we're doing in this city is fantastic.
I'm here to talk tonight about Vision 2025 largely. We have 500 people who've signed up for our capture teams. It's a real grassroots effort. My biggest message to council is that you'd all be involved. We really need a spirit of collaboration. I think Vision 2025 is making a big step in that direction.
There's many events going on every day, every week in this town, a lot of positive things. I'm very fortunate in being able to attend many of those.
I ran against Frank Janakovic for mayor twice. I have a lot of concerns about the way he manages the city.
A strong mayor form of government does not make a strong mayor. And I intend to be the strongest damn mayor this city can be to move it forward. So if that's something wrong there,
Thank you. Unlike my opponents, I'm here directly to speak to you and not read empty statements. I'm a lifelong resident, homeowner, and I guess I'm the exception because I'm a local business leader that lives in Johnstown. As your mayor, I am visible and I am active in our city, neighborhoods, and community.
So the mayor's wife works for Mark after Mark gets a board appointment. And when I brought this up during the election, Frank was all, she had it. She had the job, but it's questionable.
There's definitely an association.
Is it a conflict of interest? That was my question during the first election. Mark originally criticized the JRA. Remember, the JRA was federally indicted. REPEC went to jail.
As your mayor, I'm active in several organizations and boards. Discover Downtown, which brought you the Christmas tree downtown at no taxpayer dollars. The Taste and Tour that they're operating, the Halloween parade, along with the Chamber of Commerce. Visioning 2025 that has 800 people, 75% of which do not live in the city, that are working in our city to make it better. And currently 200 that participate working on 24 different projects in our city, volunteering.
Melissa Comar and I go back and forth. I used to be very critical of her. I've softened on that quite a bit. Melissa has a very good tendency of giving right-to-know information. I can't fault her for this. Whenever I ask for something, I get it. Now, I question why she was on the board. She's making a ridiculous salary at the Johnstown Redevelopment Authority. She was on the airport board. She was on the Planning Commission board. She was on the Vision board. These are just an example of some of the activities she was on in government and nonprofits. So my question always been, when you pay someone so much money to run the sewer treatment plant, why are they spending all their time outside of the job? And then when you realize I've criticized her for running a quasi-real estate firm, I believe the JRA is using the land bank to promote their own properties to give them to friends and family. Frank does run a nonprofit. He gives people a lot of jobs locally, but he also gets a lot of special favors.
And as co-founder of a local nonprofit that employs 325 staff and has 6 sites in Johnstown. 2 downtown offices, one basically serving mental health clients, the other serves as the corporate headquarters.
He initially wanted the Atrium Manor deal. That was in the newspaper. They were interested in bidding on it.
We have an agreement with our client. It's a solid agreement. And if Brian Valetic, the citizen, or anybody, they can go to federal court. I don't know what the process is. I'm sure you're going to have to prove you're a qualified bidder, I suspect, that you're capable of closing.
But what you're saying is you have a qualified agreement with somebody else?
We weren't acquiring the atrium for the authority. We had to go through the process through the brownfield funding in order to utilize them.
Okay, but you made an agreement with one business in town without bidding.
We don't know that we're going to receive the property.
Well, I must assume, because if it doesn't, then it's null and void anyhow.
Yeah, look, we're in the redevelopment business. This business closing was a problem, okay? A problem.
And then as soon as I put a poster on Facebook, everyone starts commenting, and now they're off the table.
You know how hard it is to get businesses to come here without seeing all this negativism, whether it be on Facebook or the media or those other. We need to appreciate what we have, and I don't think we know that.
I think it's kind of like a self-flagellation in a way. I mean, they bolster themselves. The paper says how great they are. But then again, we already talked about how the paper is kind of in bed with the vision people. The paper says, hey, how great everything is. And people read and they're like, boy, they're really great. They're doing great things. So it's just that circle. They congratulate and support themselves.
And we tend to, in this society of quick news cycles and media, and our attention just keeps flitting from place to place, political elections being every 2 years, every 4 years. These are commitments that have to extend beyond one person in office, beyond a news cycle, continue when the spotlight isn't there, and have a dedication behind them. It's messy, long, steady work. It's not some big press conference and a few shaking of hands and a decision made at one meeting. It's re-changing the fabric of a city, which is a generational dedication, actually.
Not any one entity, not any one person. Johnstown received $39.2 million for our area in the last 2 years. That's something to think about. $39.2 million that came into our area through grants, through the federal government, through the state government, through foundations, different entities that are in our city and people. So that is a big plus.
It was a nonprofit controlling the city government that got our RAISE grant and our Central Park projects, which people are very opposed to. Nobody wants to lose the statues. Nobody wants to lose the trees. This is just how they're doing it.
They benefit from the city being in poverty and having problems because the poorer the city is and the worse it does, the more money they get. So this area does really bad. It brings in a lot of money. We take that money and go live elsewhere.
Well, it's almost like Sue Mann over 1889 Foundation. You have a foundation, and she's also on the board of Vision. 118 million or so they took from the Comar hospital sale. They spend the interest on projects, giving themselves these 6-digit jobs. Amy Bradley had a job with them 10 years ago, and they use these positions to pay back their friends who are loyal. So they continually have a revenue stream.